Corey Horton back to the end zone.
28-yard play. Guess who? Body up the middle, making another move to the outside. 15, 10, end zone again.
Keeps it. Nice move by Brown. He's got space. He's got 6. 35-yard touchdown for Byron Brown. A record-setting night for the South Florida quarterback.
Down so far, a little bit of a high snap. Genty right up the middle. Genty has room. Ashton Genty, give him 6.
Second and long. Lagar tries to fit it in. Runnels, it does. Runnels stays up. The Suns offense 4-3 wheels. Incredible effort for Royals.
The G5 Hive. All G5, all the time.
Welcome to the G5 Hive Live. We're a little bit earlier on this Monday. Christmas vacation. Got some stuff that popped up in the evening. So we're moving it up just a little bit. We are excited to bring you the G5 college football coverage that you love each and every week. I am Luke, and I am joined by my co-host, Justice. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you're watching us on X, please give us a follow, a like, a retweet. And if you're listening to us in podcast form, please rate and review. The G5 Hive merchandise store is now live. Link in the YouTube comments as well as pinned on our X page and at the bottom of the screen. You might notice G5 Hive podcast. Luke, why are you wearing an Iowa Hawkeyes sweatshirt? If you're just tuning into us, I do live in Iowa. There are no G5 teams here. So I am a Hawkeye, but I love the G5. So it is their bowl game today. They've got Mizzou, so I am repping some Hawkeye gear today. Get over it. For all of our audio listeners, I'm sorry you can't see this. If you want to tune into our YouTube video. But Justice, Christmas is over. Maybe there's a couple Christmases still yet to wrap up. How are we doing?
I'm doing great, man. I got the new college. Well, it's not new anymore, I guess, but it came out in September. But I had to upgrade my gaming system, and so I did that for my birthday. I got a PlayStation 5, and then for Christmas, I got the College Football 25 game. So I've been playing that a lot the last several days.
You finished the season.
I just finished my first season. Old Dominion won the national championship.
So which team were you? If Old Dominion won the national championship, what team were you?
Old Dominion.
Oh, okay. I figured you were going to be East Carolina because I know you are a big ECU fan.
Yeah, Old Dominion won the national championship. I had two players, number 1 and 2 in the Heisman, and neither one of them was an offensive player. They were both defensive players. So
Wow.
I thought that was kind of different and unique. They both had a lot of sacks. It was Jason Henderson and Koa Nautaloa, both linebackers. The guy, I don't know. Like, have you had a chance to play the game, Luke? Or
Nope, don't have a console. Haven't played the game.
it's fun. It's fun. I feel like they got a lot of things right. One thing they didn't quite get right is Old Dominion's defense, because they have both Koa and Jason Henderson as outside linebackers, and they both play middle linebacker. But that's pretty minor, I think, in the big scheme of things. It's a fun game. If you haven't played it, I encourage you guys to get it. I've played the Dynasty mode. I enjoy playing around with the different playbooks. Some playbooks I find are much easier to utilize than others. Running the ball to me is a lot easier than trying to pass the ball around the yard, so to speak. But yeah, it's a fun game. Entering year 2, Dynasty. It's a fun time. I have a PlayStation 5. They have it available for Xbox as well. I'm a PlayStation guy. I also got Madden. I haven't played Madden yet. Been kind of focusing on the college football 25 game. So yeah, if you wanna play a game, hit me up in my DMs at justice_2318 on X. Be glad to play you online. I haven't played an online game yet. I haven't joined any online dynasties or anything like that yet. Just kind of been playing against the computer, trying to get my feet wet and understanding how to play the game. Um, I've been playing the NCAA College Football 14 on my PlayStation 3 on and off since the game came out. Um, but yeah, well, while Luke's away, we're gonna go ahead and get started with some news and notes, and we'll come back to our players of the week. Um, so first, we'll give talk about some coaching news. App State is expected to hire DJ Smith as its next defensive coordinator. DJ Smith has been the Missouri's co-defensive coordinator and linebackers coach. He was also previously at App State from 2017 to 2019. I would expect that announcement to come out after Missouri's game against Iowa today. Tulsa is hiring Brad Robbins as their offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. Brad Robbins was the quarterback coach and passing game coordinator for the UConn Huskies this past season. They just had their bowl game on Saturday. FIU is hiring Nick Coleman as its offensive coordinator. Coleman was UAB's quarterback coach previously. And Fresno State is hiring Nick Benedetto as its defensive coordinator. Benedetto was the Northern Illinois defensive coordinator. Couple other things that or three other things I guess today that I saw that are kind of interesting. So, the transfer portal. We'll talk about players sometime in January once everyone's entered and folks have their destinations for the most part kind of decided. But the portal window actually is closed. However, it's not like entirely true. It's just generally closed because teams that have not played their bowl game yet, those players have up until 5 days after the bowl game. So, like for instance, Liberty and Buffalo don't play till Saturday. They have 5 days past that in order to enter the transfer portal, and then of course the teams in the playoffs have even a longer window, like depending on whenever their last game played is. So I think it's 5 days from the last game played, and of course we could see some unexpected coaches firings, which opens up windows, which causes a chain reaction. We saw this last year with Nick Saban in Alabama, and you saw like a tidal wave of repercussions throughout college football as head coaches got shuffled around with that late announcement from Saban. Once a coach is fired or leaves for another school, that opens up a 30-day window for that program's players to enter the transfer portal. So today, interesting tweet from head coach Jim Mora, UConn head coach, and he was talking about NIL and tampering, and basically said, "Hey, you guys out there like calling the UConn players like when they're not officially in the portal, that's tampering and that's against NCAA rules, and we're gonna call you out on it." Kind of interesting. I mean, it's cool to see him take that stance, for sure. But it's been happening. It's been happening for years, right? And the NCAA has done absolutely zero about it. I don't.
Unless you leave a McDonald's bag full of money somewhere. That's about the only time. But
now that's legal. That's legal now.
but like I don't think it matters because we had another G5 coach do this 2 years ago, 2 years ago, I think, or so. But that was UAB head coach Dilford. He was like, he's on ESPN with all of his buddies and saying like, "Hey, this is going to happen, and we're going to expose you," and nothing really came of that. And if anything, like he had quite the platform to do that as he like just was coming back from ESPN and all of that. And I get it, Jim Mora's been in the NFL and stuff, but I don't think I just don't think he's gonna have the pull that anybody else would.
I just don't think the NCAA is going to do anything about it, regardless of how much publicity. I mean, look what it happened to Pitt with Jordan Addison and USC, right? Like,
Yep.
and it went through the news cycle and everything, but did the NCAA do anything? Absolutely not. I don't, hey, kudos to Jim Mora. I hope he does. I hope he puts the receipts out there and says, so and so, just for consumption. But at the end of the day,
or at very least, say blackmail them. Like, we're going to put this out there unless I get X amount of money. And that's the way you raise more money for your team.
Yeah, it's like I said, it definitely commendable effort. I just don't know that the NCAA is going to do anything about it. I saw Northern Illinois head coach Thomas Hammock kind of retweeted it, and he kind of said the same thing. He said, and I got the receipts too. So I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if what comes out of that in terms of like if they do provide receipts or information. Again, I don't expect the NCAA
from a lot
actually
of
do
things
anything.
From a lot of things that I hear, not that I've seen, but from what I hear, it's not necessarily the team reaching out. It is somebody on behalf of the team. So, like,
Sure.
I could say, on behalf of North Texas, I would like you, Justice, to come and play, even though I know you're at Alabama right now. Well, technically, I'm not affiliated with the team. I'm nothing a part of the team. I can't really do anything other than like pretty much to start a conversation. So that's what it sounds like a majority of these have been.
Yeah, it's like I said, I don't expect anything to come out of it, but I just thought it was interesting. And then today, of all days, on the eve of the college football playoff quarterfinals, discussion comes out today about possibly changing how things are done in 2025. So the current system is set for this year and for 2025. 2026 is still up in the air. But of course, the one thing that they want to change, or some folks want to change, is how the seedings are done and how the buys are done. So, how it was done this year and how it's going to be done next year, at least today, is the top four ranked conference winners get the buys. You've heard, ESPN and all the mainstream media talk about how it's not right. The top four teams should get the bye, not the top four ranked, not top four conference winners. So that's going to be that's kind of what the discussion was about today. Is that there are some folks that want the top four ranked teams to get the buys, and not just be the top four conference winners. And then that the whole conversation has been about seedings, and they're no doubt going to use the blowouts in the first round to kind of make their point. But I don't know. I mean, to me, it's just kind of crazy.
I think the
blowouts happen.
I think the big reason for this, to be quite frank, is when this playoff got accepted a couple years ago, we had the Pac-12. And, we just kind of thought that, all right, here are these Power 5 teams, and they're going to get them. Like, there's no way something could get messed up. And then the Pac-12 goes away, and then teams, and then there weren't like your normal powerhouses doing powerhouse things all year. We're not going to talk about Georgia, but then, Georgia's probably going to lose to Notre Dame, at least be my guess. And, it gave these G5 schools that opportunity, in this case, Boise State, that chance to get in there. And they're like, oh, well, this isn't what we wanted. Let's all vote on this. And as you mentioned on the show sheet, I don't think you mentioned it, but it requires a unanimous approval, which I don't think you'll be able to get this year. But like you said, for 2026, for next year, but then for 2026, I could see the schools going that way, because that's what they wanted for this year. And then things happened and changed, and it's not, I guess everything isn't set up the way that they thought it was supposed to be set up. And now they're angry, kind of like, take my ball and I'm going home.
Yeah, and I think it's just more than Boise. I agree, it is Boise State, but it's Arizona State too.
Yep.
And like for the life of me, I don't quite understand why anyone other than the SEC or the Big Ten would vote to approve this. That's who it's going to help. There's no doubt about it. That's who it's going to help.
And Dallas here in the YouTube comment said we had blowouts when there was a 4-team playoff. We had blowouts when there were 2 teams, back in the BCS, So
yeah, I mean, that was my point earlier was, like the blowout shouldn't be an excuse to make this happen, right? Because like Dallas said, there was blowouts in the 4-team, there was blowouts in the championship game. Blowouts are going to happen. That's just you're not going to eliminate that. I just, I don't know. It's kind of, to me, it's just kind of sickening, like that ESPN has as much power and control as they seem to have over college football nowadays.
I think the coolest thing so far
their narrative.
I think the coolest thing so far about the playoffs has been the game on campus. I've been to a Major League Baseball game that's like I was in Detroit for it was Verlander against the Texas Rangers when they were really good with like Josh Hamilton and whatnot, and it was like wild card game. Then there was an ALDS I was at, and those games like that atmosphere was so awesome. I can't imagine what it was like to be at one of those schools, being at Notre Dame or whatnot, and experiencing that first round playoff game. I think that's probably been the best part about the whole playoff system.
Yeah. I don't know. Like they say that they thought they had enough people to get a unanimous vote. And I don't understand it. If you're not a Big 12, a Big 10 or an SEC person, I don't understand why you'd vote for this, because that's all it's going to do. You're going to, I would almost be willing to bet that every year 3 of the 4 are from those 2 conferences at a minimum. Like that's just what's going to happen. And so why would these other conferences vote for that? They're doing themselves a disservice to vote for that. I think the ACC and the Big 12 sometimes just vote with the other 2 just because they're scared of getting left behind. But I don't know. At some point, you got to
do that retribution. Like, hey, you voted. Hey, we didn't forget you voted against this 7 years ago, and we're gonna leave you behind. Like, we're not gonna invite you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, at some point, stand up for yourself. Have a backbone, right? Like, you are already second tier. I mean, that was evidence last year. Just I don't know. Just protect your own interest, I think is what I would do, right? Certainly, I don't. I know the G5 doesn't get, each G5 conference doesn't get their vote. Will get a vote, but collectively they have a vote. Why would they ever vote for that? I mean, again, the only reason I can think is they'd be fearful that they'd say, okay, well, you didn't vote against us, so you're out now. You're not gonna get an automatic berth anymore. I don't know. Like, everybody just placates to the SEC and the Big Ten. It's kind of sickening. It's the ESPN media machine does it as well. It's I don't know. I don't enjoy it. Not the fun part of college football. But hey, let's get to our players of the week. We had quite a number of bowl games this past week, and so we have come up with our offensive and defensive players of the week.
All right. My offensive player of the week is none other than Toledo wide receiver Junior Vandeross III. Junior Vandeross III had a career-high 12 receptions for 194 yards and 1 touchdown against Pitt. The 194 yards is the 6th most ever by a Rocket and set the Game Above Sports Bowl record for most receiving yards. Junior's touchdown put the Rockets up 13-12 midway through the second quarter. His 194 yards receiving accounted for 57.7% of the Rockets' receiving yards on the day. He would come up big once again in the sixth overtime, which proved to be the game-winning 2-point conversion attempt. Congratulations to both Junior and the Rockets on their Game Above Sports Bowl win.
My offensive player of the week is running back Rajai Harris, East Carolina. Rajai had 17 carries for 220 yards and a touchdown, but none was bigger than his final carry, an 86-yard touchdown run, house call to seal the victory for the Pirates. He did that with ECU trailing by 1. There was a minute and I think 43 seconds or so left on 3rd and 10. He got the ball and never looked back. ECU had just gotten the ball back after the refs had made a horrible call, in my opinion, on a ECU scoop and score. So it was kind of poetic justice, if you will, for Rajai to get that touchdown and get the win for the Pirates over in-state rival NC State in the Military Bowl. Congrats to Rajai and the Pirates on the bowl victory. My defensive player of the week, sticking with Toledo, defensive tackle Darius Alexander. Darius turned in a strong performance this week with 6 tackles, 3 solos, 1 tackle for loss, 1 sack, and a thick 58-yard touchdown return on an interception. Darius's performance was instrumental in leading the Rockets to their second victory over a Power 4 team this season in the Game Above Sports Bowl, beating the Pitt Panthers in 6 overtimes. Congratulations, Darius.
And that interception return by Darius was like he was just gliding. He was just gliding. It wasn't a rumble and bumble. Like it looked good. It looked good out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. My defensive player of the week is UConn defensive lineman Price Yates, the 6'4", 265-pound lineman. Price Yates had 6 total tackles, all of which were solo. He had 3 tackle for losses and 1 sack. His sack came with 2 minutes and 30 seconds left in the game to be that exclamation point on a great day for the Huskies. Congratulations, Price, and congratulations to the Huskies for winning 9 games on the season. That is the first time the program has won 9 games since I was in high school in 2007. I now have 2 kids, and I've been married for like 10 years. So congratulations to the UConn Huskies, and again, to Price Yates.
Before I guess we get to the preview, there was another comment from Dallas I guess we can touch on. He's asking about how long before we see the SEC and Big Ten and basically NCAA becoming a minor league for the NFL. Like it's already there. Like it's there was this brings up an interesting point. There was some discussion earlier in the week from former JUCO coach Jason Brown about JUCO kind of being an avenue for guys to kind of come and play and not use up eligibility because of the JUCO ruling. And basically,
top if you have the number 1 player, like you got to go to JUCO for a couple of years. Hey, what's my NFL grade? And then, all right, I need this money from you schools, and then maybe I just go to the NFL and I don't come to you. It was an interesting take. I don't foresee that happening with the big ticket people, but some maybe high profile like lower 4 stars. I could see that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of happens with all that JUCO stuff. But to Dallas's point, like I feel like at some point the SEC and the Big Ten are just going to do their own thing. Their resources dwarf everyone else, and like they're not even playing like essentially the same game. You just look at the differences in talent, the money differences. It's essentially where we are today. It's just not quote formalized. I think the ACC and the Big 12 keep wanting to hang on and they're fooling themselves, but and trying to placate the SEC and the Big 10. But I think at some point the SEC and the Big 10, kind of do their own thing, and it'll be when that happens, it'll be interesting to see. I think what happens with the rest of college football at that point. Will the G5 have kind of already split off and done their own thing? Will they Will they allow the ACC and the Big 12 to join them? Probably the next, I guess, if I had to pick another, the next domino to fall to kind of move towards this evolution would be something happening with the ACC. Clemson, Florida State, in their lawsuit to try to get out of the ACC. When that happens, I think that's when you're going to see a split, a bigger, a split off between those big two, and then
I think also depending on what happens with the Pac-12, are they able to find that eighth team? Because they have added. Oh, who was it? Gonzaga for basketball, but you got to figure out who you're going to do for football. So I think part of it is going to be what happens with that Pac-12 Mountain West type conference. Then, like you said, then the ACC, and then I think it's when do players become employees of the university. I think there was a step towards that. I didn't hear a lot of people talking about it, but Deion Sanders had mentioned that, any players that were playing in the bowl game were going to kind of have this medical insurance that, if they got hurt.
I thought that he was talking specifically about Shadur and Travis, but
okay. I guess I didn't realize, but like, that's the first step. Like, hey, if these schools are going to pony up or NILs or whatever it is to do that, that's a step in that direction. So I think there's like those, you talked about the next domino to fall being the ACC, which I think is probably, I don't know which one would fall first, that one or the Pac-12 domino, because they got one more year of the Mountain West and Pac-2, I believe. And then so I think maybe the ACC would fall first, then the Pac-12, then what do players become?
I agree with you. I think they're going to become employees, and then there's going to be a collective bargaining agreement, and
then at that point, then I think that's when we get to Dallas's comment of that's probably when it becomes more of this minor league for the NFL.
Yeah, because at that point, like the collective bargaining agreement could be, there'd be no eligibility that guy. I mean, I would assume that there'll be some eligibility or number of years, but I mean they might not be the case, right? They like to Dallas's point, these might be the USFL of the future, and these be the minor leagues, the G League, if you will, of the NFL. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to kind of see how it all unfolds from my perspective in terms of what happens with the schools not in the Big Ten and the SEC. That's, to me, that's the interesting part of the future in terms of what will happen.
Why don't you come back and join us next week as we discuss what happened in the G5 bowl games, as well as bring you up to date on all the latest news and happenings in the world of G5 college football. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. If you're watching us on X, please give us a retweet, a like, and a follow. If you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please subscribe and leave those 5-star rating and reviews. Thank you all for your support. Until the next time, we are the G5 Hive.